Hey, this is Rob Anspach. Welcome back to another edition of eHeroes. Now, I know a lot of entrepreneurs out there take their health, fitness, nutrition for granted. So I actually brought on an expert. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what's this guy have to do with anybody else out there? Is his information different? Well, let me tell you, this guy at age 39, his heart stopped 3 times and no one could fix it. So he took it upon himself and he fixed it himself. Now that's something else. So, welcome, Belldon Colme,
Indeed.
and I'm glad you're here because we met about a year and a half ago in San Francisco before COVID, and you know the information that you flooded my brain with back then was just amazing. And so it's been a while since I could get you on here, and
No, we've tried 4 times.
yeah, I mean you're just so busy.
Beats the alternatives, brother. Beats the alternatives.
So let's go back to 39 because I know you're a little older than 39 now. So what caused your heart to stop?
I had a rather rare set of conditions. I had two heart arrhythmias working together against each other, and I was morbidly obese, or at least teetering on the edge of morbid obesity. I was 105 pounds overweight, pre-diabetic. At the worst, my blood pressure was 192 over 115. And if you're familiar with these things, that's scary. That's like my body is just about to explode, right?
Yeah, that was me. I went to one of those grocery store things where you put your arm in, and at first it displayed error. What the hell? Let me do this again. And
Yeah.
it was above 190 some, and the person in back of me was like, "I can't believe you're still alive."
When that machine calls 911 on your behalf, yeah, there's a problem there. There's a problem there. But that's a condition I was in. The first time I went into the ER was with actually heart arrhythmias that caused my heart to stop. The next two were because of full blown heart disease that was working side by side with that condition. So I was in a bad way. First time, honest to God, didn't think I was going home. I had that big regret. I didn't see my whole life in front of me, so I guess I should have told me I was coming back. But I had that one big regret. I didn't even get to say goodbye to anybody. I just passed out on the kitchen floor, woke up in the ER, and that wasn't where I wanted to be. But the crazy thing, Rob, is it wasn't because I wasn't paying attention. Prior to that, I was doing everything I could do to not be in the ER. I was talking to my doctor, I was following the diets, I was taking the supplements, I was doing everything that the medical team was telling me to do. And while it made me feel better, it wasn't helping the problem. The problem was getting worse until I woke up in the ER. And that was like a major change for me. I could give you all the background of why I have this weird ass mindset that if somebody else can't do it, I'm going to. But I have that mindset. And when it wasn't getting done, I went back to school. And I went back to school for the singular purpose of learning how to fix me and make that problem history. I never wanted to be there again.
You talk about supplements, and my wife's grandmother lived to be 101 or 102, and she was always against taking supplements. She said half of them weren't even, manufactured correctly. They lied, and half the time your body didn't need all that crap anyway because you were going to urinate it out. And but she was pretty smart. I mean, to live that long, and now you have these people that their whole diet consists of bowls and bowls of vitamins. And you
Pills,
live like that.
supplements, elixirs, yeah, it's nuts. And if you go back, say pre 1950, we didn't have any of that.
Right.
We didn't have supplements. We didn't have protein mixes. We didn't have any of that. And neither did we have an obesity epidemic, a diabetes epidemic, a heart disease epidemic. It's like we keep trying to look to the future. What's the new product? What's the new thing? What's the cutting edge? When really we ought to be maybe rolling back
Hmm.
and saying, what were we doing right back then that we stopped doing right?
Yeah.
Maybe we got to think about going back and getting back to that.
Yeah. And it's really hard because you go into the grocery stores, everything is, manufactured, everything has sugar in it, everything has, chemicals that you can't pronounce. And even if you go into the meat section and you look at it, oh wow, that comes from a cow. How do we know? It could be cloned, it could be this, it could be, and even the vegan stuff, the artificial meat that's made from who knows what. I mean, there's more chemicals in there than I'm like, okay, well, it kind of tastes like meat, kind of acts like meat, but what's it doing to your body long term?
What is it? I do got to straighten out one thing though, Rob. I got to call you on it. Sorry, man. This word hard. We got to get that word out of this context. We have to, because that's a word that makes people not take action. I don't have the time. I don't have the time for the footprint. It's too damn bloody hard to do. You're going to go into that grocery store to buy food anyway. And
Hmm.
let's be honest, everybody that walks into that store has researched what they're going to buy.
Yeah,
They've watched the ads. They've decided what new flavor they want. They're there specifically to try this new flavor of Doritos, right? They've done their research. They're gone there and they're shopping and they're buying stuff that's shitty for their body. It is no harder to do a different kind of research and go to the store and buy the stuff that's going to make you strong, that's going to boost your immune system, that's going to make you resilient, that's
yeah,
going to make you not get sick. It's not hard.
right. You
It's
know,
just
when,
a different mindset. That's all.
when I was growing up, the only option for milk was whole milk. That was it.
Milk.
And then it was, and then 1% came along, and this and that, and now you got 50 varieties of milk, and half of them aren't even milk. They're oat, uh,
Yeah.
soy, and I'm like, where do these come from? And are they any good for us?
Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no. This is one of the funnest things in all of nutrition, Rob. Can we talk about milk for a second?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is one of the funnest things in all of nutrition because back in 1977, Senator McGovern and the McGovern Commission were putting all the work into what would become the very first dietary guidelines, which were released in the US in 1980. And the McGovern Commission had all of this stuff that they wanted to prove. CBS ran a news piece, and I've actually got a clip of this because it's awesome. Right before the McGovern Commission put together the report to submit, one of the lead scientists is on video on CBS News saying, don't do this. Don't do this. We haven't got the data back yet. And George McGovern looked him straight in the eye and said, well, a senator, unfortunately, unlike a research scientist, doesn't have the time to wait for all the data to come in.
Hmm.
We have to make a decision. And this is where the low fat, no fat thing got started. And from that time until today, the data has been coming in.
Hmm.
And the data has said that this is the worst thing that we've ever done for the
Yeah.
health of our country. And the thing is, when we make low and no fat milk, because I mean, let's just be honest here, all right? You go in and you see your 1%, your 2%, your skim. There are no skim cows. There are no 1% cows. There are no 2% cows. It doesn't happen, right? Your average cow lays their milk somewhere between 5 and 7%. Jersey cows get all the way up to 12 or 13. So, what are we doing to get these numbers? And what we're doing is we're literally spinning all the fat out of milk, all of it,
Hmm.
until we have this stuff that's light blue, thinner than water. Nobody in their right mind would ever drink this stuff. It looks like syphilis, dude. It just looks gross. And so what do? We got this stuff that's light blue and pale, thinner than water. Nobody's going to drink it, but we have to have skim milk because the government says low and no fat. So what they do is they take this stuff and they blow it under super high pressure through itty bitty teeny tiny jets, and it blows out the other side, kind of like popcorn, like almost microscopic popcorn, little tiny things. But it goes from liquid to hard, and when it oxidizes going through this process, I want you to remember that word. When it oxidizes going through this process, it makes it hard and white. And then they put that stuff back into the milk, and guess what? It gives it a little bit of consistency. Still kind of sucks, but it gives it a little bit of consistency, and it turns it white again
Hmm.
so that people will drink it. But if you go back to that process, that oxidation process, oxidation on your mailbox is something we call rust.
Hmm.
And what does it do to steel?
Yeah,
It just
eats it away.
absolutely eats it away. And we have all of this movement in the world to try and get antioxidants into the body because oxidation is a bad thing. I want to be clear. We breathe oxygen. Oxygen is used in certain chemical processes in the body that are super important. But oxidation, as the body equivalent of rust, is what we call inflammation. It is the number one leading cause of heart disease, the number one leading cause of heart attacks. It's the reason high cholesterol is a thing, because cholesterol is going in to fix the damage being done by oxidation. And that's the process we use to make skim milk. So not only is taking the fat away from the body a bad idea, nature kind of put it there for a reason, right? Not only is taking the fat away a bad idea, but the stuff that we then do to make the product palatable is the stuff that's ripping us apart in terms of our health. We call them PECs here in the work that I do. PECs are preservatives, enhancers, and conditioners. These are the things we do to make food brighter, better, softer, gooier, creamier. They're the things that we use to make a product viable, and they're the things we do to give it a shelf life of just about damn forever when food isn't supposed to have that.
Yeah.
But we put these things into our body. And this is what, from late 1950s, escalating, especially during the 1980s, and coming on into today, this is what is absolutely ruining the health of this country.
Yeah, and I noticed lately that, and it might be going on for a while, but a lot of ice cream manufacturers no longer call their ice cream ice cream. It's called, some type of frozen, dessert. They've kind of stripped that whole name of ice cream out of the scenario because it's no longer, you know, ice cream. It's filled
Oh,
with air and it's filled with fluff and it's filled with carrageenan and all this stuff that I have no idea
but
what it is.
while you're true with that, that's not why they're changing the name. They're changing the name because cream is fat is fat. It's
Mhm.
the same reason that every product out there is trying to call itself a protein, no matter what the hell it is. It could be a pure straight up carbohydrate, but that's a bad marketing ploy right now. Carbohydrates are evil, so we have to call it a protein. And it's like all the names that you're seeing that people are coming out with, it's trying to make people feel healthy without having to ask them to eat any differently.
Yeah, and I think that in the early late '70s, early '80s, Coke did it with NutraSweet with Diet Coke,
Mhm.
and when NutraSweet fell out of favor, they just renamed it. I don't know, Fena. I don't know what it's called now, but it's the same crap that's in there. It's just no longer under the NutraSweet brand that nobody
Yeah,
likes.
yeah, yeah. True story. True
Yeah,
story.
but you know, we can talk about this, for hours and hours and hours, but how does the average entrepreneur who's working, you know, 12, 16 hours a day take all this into consideration? Because, I know from past, I would work so many hours. I was all stressed out. The easiest thing to do sometimes come home, pop a Coke, you know, get
Hmm.
that fast sugar coming in and I'm good to go for a while. But the long-term effect, kills you. It drives up your stress levels, makes you tired. It just screws up your whole body. And
I think
what,
there's three fundamental mindsets that entrepreneurs need to gain, need to think about, need to ponder. The first is I hear entrepreneurs all day long saying, I can't invest in me. I've got this stuff going on in my business. I got to invest in the business. That's the important thing right now. Fuck that. You are, as an entrepreneur, foundational to everything you do.
Mhm.
And I don't care what you're investing in your business. If you hit the wall at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and from 2 o'clock through the rest of the day, you're powering through. I mean, just listen to the terminology that entrepreneurs are using. I'm a professional. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to power through. Sure, you got a big ass 500-pound snowball in front of you, and you're going to get it where it's supposed to go. But what can you do in your business if that damn snowball isn't there?
Yeah.
If you're not powering through and you actually have energy propelling you, imagine what you could get done. What's your business going to do when you're 39 and you're in the hospital ER for the first time? Right? That's what I had to face. I had a building a business at the time. Guess who was running my building business while I spent the whole year in ER? Nobody, right? Oh, that's okay. I'm working on something to build myself out of the business, and that's awesome. You're trying to do that, Rob. You're trying to get your work hours down so you can go and appreciate things more. Are you
Mhm.
trying to get your work hours down so that you can go get sick and lay around and not be able to do anything for the rest? No. So we have to understand that this right here is foundational to everything we want to do. It's foundational to our business. It's foundational to our personal life, our family, everything we want to do in this world. Our business is not the foundation. Our business is the house. This and this is our foundation. We have to get into that mindset if we're ever going to have the impact that we want to
You
have.
know,
Okay.
and I see all these entrepreneurs every day, you know, going through the Starbucks line to get their coffee, and then they at lunch get the coffee again, and then on the way home get another coffee. I'm thinking, first of all, that's expensive. Second of all that caffeine, sugar, and whatever going into your system 3 times a day is not good either.
Well, hopefully our entrepreneurs are doing well enough that they're less worried about the cost, but they should be worried about what it's doing to the body, because this is the second mindset that an entrepreneur needs to get to. And that is to understand that only energy is energy. And by that, I mean there's a substance in every cell of your body. It's called ATP. Go look it up. I'm not going to give a science lesson here. But ATP is adenosine triphosphate. It is the energy source of your body. And here's the beauty of it: it never goes anywhere. You don't have to eat anything to put it there. It's already there. It lives there. It never goes away. So why don't I feel energy if I have this never-ending energy source right in my cells? Well, because everything happening here is a chemical reaction, including what it takes to recharge ATP. And if we're blocking that chemical reaction, we have to understand this word blocking, because it's not that the body can't do it. The body's made to do it. The body is made to give you unlimited energy. We block it by the stuff we put into the beaker. Okay? We're going to get into that in the third mindset. But the first thing to understand is that when you go to the gym and you leave feeling good, that's not energy. That's endorphins. Endorphins make you feel good. I'm all over feeling good. Go to the gym, pump up your endorphins, feel good, but stop telling yourself it's energy, because it's not. And if you think it is, you're going to go push yourself beyond what your body can handle and start getting sick. Okay? Coffee, energy drinks, Coke, these are not energy. These are stimulants. They cause your cell to artificially go above and beyond what it has the capacity to do. It's like taking your car, hitching it to something 10 times heavier than it's supposed to carry, hitting the gas and grinding it. You might pull that thing, but your car's not going to last. Your car's going to die early, and it's going to die hard. Okay? So we have to understand only energy is energy, and stop pretending that all this stuff that we're doing to ourselves is somehow energy. Okay? And then the third mind, and by the way, these are both just mindsets. These don't take any time footprint out of your life at all. It's just a mindset that you have to get into so you understand things. Knowledge is power. The better your knowledge, the more you're going to automatically make the right decisions for yourself, right? And the third thing is just to appreciate that everything happening in the body, and I'm just going to ask you this, Rob. If I say everything happening in your body is a series of chemical responses, is that true or false?
I would think it's true.
Yeah, and I've been asking that question for 15 years in front of hospital staffs, doctors, PhDs, lay people of all sorts. I've never gotten anybody that said no, because inherently we know this is true,
Hmm.
and yet we keep denying it. Chemistry is simple. I think I even have, it's not a beaker, it's my water bottle, but we're going to call it a beaker. Chemists have weird water bottles. It's just what we do. But you should see my spice rack in the kitchen, all my vials. The thing is, though, chemistry is simple if you think about it. To get the right reaction out of a chemistry experiment, you put the right things into the beaker, you keep the wrong things out of the beaker, and you make sure that what's in that beaker is in the right balance. That's it, Rob. 3 things. Right things in, wrong things out, and keep the things that are in that beaker in the right balance. That's all chemistry is. It's not hard. It's not difficult. We
One
just
of
got to
my
get the right things in, keep the wrong things out, and get it in the right balance. And if we
one of
do
my
that,
favorite experiments in chemistry was taking the sodium metal, and as soon as you take it out of the air or take it out of the beaker, and it hits the air,
yeah,
and if you think about that, when it comes to your body, the things that you put into your body have that same reaction as that sodium metal. You're going to start thinking of food in a different perspective.
100%, 100%, because food is chemistry.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And if you think about this, you are, if we're going to be honest here, what you eat. When I was a kid, this was a poster.
Yeah.
This poster was in the post office back when I was a kid. You are what you eat. Had this kid eating an apple, And the message was super, super clear. What you eat is what your body takes apart and builds into the cells of your body. It literally becomes you. This stuff doesn't just, manifest out of thin air,
Hmm.
right? It is your food becoming you. So, what do you want to build yourself out of? And we've lost this, Rob, because now we think of food in terms of calories and macros.
Yeah.
We've reduced all food to energy. If all food was energy, you would be an energy being. You'd be traveling outer space without the need to breathe. But we're not an energy being because food is not energy. Food is building blocks that makes this stuff,
Hmm.
right? I use an illustration, if you don't mind if I share, in workshops because it's powerful. If you want to build, now see, I said if you don't mind if I share, but I didn't even give you a chance to respond. You don't mind, right?
I don't mind.
If you want to build a house up on the hill overlooking the valley, beautiful waterfall, just your dream home, right? You're going to go in there and you visualize the whole thing. You got a bathroom that your gal can go and just sit there and soak with candlelight, full windows looking over the valley, so peaceful. When she gets out of that, all she wants is you. I mean, that's the house you want, right?
Hmm.
You go out on the patio, got your cigar, nice scotch, and this place is peace, right? You need three things if you're going to have that house, not counting the money. We're just going to assume you have that. You need three things. You need a first rate architect engineer that can design that thing because you're sitting on a hill and you don't want to wind up in the bottom of the valley.
Hmm.
So you need an architect and engineer that can visualize, first of all, that feeling of peace that you want and translate that into the hillside that you're going to put it on and create something that will structurally and aesthetically and energetically and spiritually give you everything that you want out of it. Okay. After that, you need a really, really, really solid builder because you need somebody that can take those prints, understand them, and translate them into a real three-dimensional structure on a hillside in a way that's going to give you a lifetime of happiness and gratitude. Okay. And the third thing you need is building materials. Now, this is your body. The beautiful thing in your body is the perfect set of blueprints is built into you. It's in your DNA. Everything about the perfect Rob Anspach is in your DNA. All of it.
Hmm.
Everything about the perfect Belldon Colme, it's all right there. People are going to the gym saying, hey, I need to change how I look. Well, the only way you can do that is to damage yourself, brother, because your DNA says you're going to look like this.
Right.
And truth is, people are happy if they let their DNA be in charge, but you've already got that there.
Hmm.
You've already got a master builder inside of you. We like to think metabolism is this fat burning furnace, but again, two words for people to look up later on is catabolism and anabolism because they give you a whole different picture of your metabolism. Catabolism is the destructive side of your metabolism that takes stuff apart. Anabolism is the constructive side of your metabolism that puts things together. In other words, you eat, catabolism takes that apart, anabolism uses the building materials that you just gave it to build you, to
Hmm.
put it back together into you. You have the most perfect master builder that knows exactly how to read your DNA blueprints and build the perfect you.
And I like your shirt because it's the evolution of the perfect you.
Amen. It took, well, I got that old reverse strain thing. Yeah, it took me a while to get to this point right here, but I spent quite a bit of time right here.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I was looking at my pictures from 2009 when my wife and I celebrated our 20th anniversary, and I'm like, wow, I was heavy back then. And then, I'm looking at them now, and this year we're celebrating our 32nd anniversary. And, I'm a little thinner now, and I'm like, huh, I feel more healthy now than I did, 12 years ago.
100%. I am most definitely doing things at 56 that I couldn't have dreamed about doing in my 30s.
Yeah.
Definitely. In my 30s, I didn't have the energy to want to do shit, let alone get up and do it. Right? Like, I'm not even lying either. I remember sitting in the chair watching my kids play, and it's like I want to play with them, and the voice in my head is, "No, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't even have the energy to want to get out of this chair." And so I sat there and watched. Now I'm running up and down hillsides, climbing, playing with my grandkids. I'm like the only person on the playground
Mhm.
playing with their grandkids, and they can't wear me out. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
whole different world. But here's the thing, Rob, that third element, you got to have the design, you got to have the master builder, and you have to have the building materials. And Rob, that's our one job.
Mhm.
We only have one job, and that's to provide the building materials for the master builder to build what the architect has designed. Now, if you have this house on the hill, what do you suppose is going to happen if you deliver to your builder concrete, 2x4s, some glass, and roofing, and that's it? Can he build you that house on the hill?
Probably not.
Fuck no. But can he build something,
Yeah, build something. Yeah.
right? This is your body.
Mhm.
We've reduced all food to four things: concrete, wood, glass, and roofing. We've reduced all food to calories, proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Great, deliver that to your body. Can your body build something? Yeah, it can. And it will do the very best it can do because that's what your body does.
Mhm.
But we know today of over 93 specific building blocks that the body needs, and we haven't even finished discovering yet.
Yeah.
But we've reduced all of our food to energy, so we're not thinking of the building materials. Our body is trying, and our body has the capability. The builder and the blueprints are there. We just have to start delivering the right building blocks. And you know, the really beautiful thing is all of these 93 things, we don't have to think about it all. We don't have to say, oh my God, did I get my psyllium today? Did I get my this? Did I get my that? We don't have to think about that. We never thought about this until the 80s and 90s. Never. Nobody ever thought about what building blocks were in their food, and yet somehow we were healthy.
Yeah.
Because our
And
mom,
and you look at people today, and I went to the one supermarket, and people were just they're in this aisle where all the vitamins and minerals are, and they think in their mind, oh, I need zinc, or I need fish oil, or I need that. How do you know you need this? Did you get a blood test? And nobody has ever gotten these tests to see exactly what they're deficient in. They're just guessing.
yeah, they're just guessing. Your mom and my mom, and I know because we're not that far off in age, your mom and my mom knew four things. It's all they knew. It's all that mattered because it gave us everything we needed. You sit at that table till you eat your greens. I heard this from my mom every day. I don't care what you don't eat and what you skip. You eat your greens, and we had to stay at the table till we ate our greens. Get your fiber,
Mhm.
right? And they always had a meal that would balance protein and starch.
Mhm.
Starch, type of carbohydrate. So broaden that out. Our parents knew. You get your leafy greens, you get your fibrous vegetables, and you balance your proteins and your carbohydrates. And of course, don't eat all that shit that's prepackaged for you.
Right.
Good rule of thumb, Rob. Number one rule of thumb: if it can't exist without a factory, probably not a good idea to put it in your body. Right? If we can just accept that, we can solve a lot of problems right there.
Yeah.
But our moms knew those four things, and that has never changed to this day. You take care
Well,
of those four things and keep the shit out, and you're golden.
or you move to Europe where most of the food over there is better
Dude,
for you.
dude,
Um,
U.S. food companies are buying up the real estate in Europe too, just like they are in Asia. It's like we're
yeah,
doing our level best to bring the whole world's health exactly where ours is.
yeah. I mean, it's up until what 15 years ago, I never even heard of gluten-free bread, and now there's a whole subdivision of like, when did we have to start putting all this gluten into our foods? You go to Europe and they make this stuff that's so much better for you, but
Oh, the
soon
beauty is,
we'll all get poisoned no matter where we go.
as long as we're depending on factories for our food. Yep.
Yeah, and that building blocks that the whole mindset, the three stages of building, that whole analogy can be used for businesses because
Oh yes.
the same thing we're putting in our bodies, we're putting in our business, we're putting in our mindset, we're putting in our employees. You teach everybody how to not only live healthier, think healthier. Imagine the productivity that's going to be enhanced in your business, you know, if we're not downing coffees, consistently throughout the day.
Mhm. It's funny that you say that the way you did too, Rob, because what works works
Hmm.
everywhere. What works here works there, works there, works there. And we get that in business all the time. We have all of these people And the people are constantly complaining because we're not giving them the tools that we need to give them to do the job. And then we get pissy at them because the job is shit. It comes back to the same thing. We have the people, we have the design. Are we providing the building blocks for our people to make the design?
Right.
More often than not, the answer is no, we're not.
Yeah. That's so. How does the audience? Where do they go to find more information about you, or how to get you know to think this mindset about better nutrition?
So the easiest way to find out more about us is I want NF. My company is called Nutritional Fitness because we are the other side of the fitness spectrum. The gym, and just to kind of explain the difference, right? If I were to take this beaker, and we talked about the importance of getting the right stuff in here, right? If I were to take this beaker and shake it, have I improved what's in it?
No.
No, probably not. What if I shake it really, really, really hard, right? I still got shit in there, right?
Mm.
What if I shake it for an hour a day, at least 3 times a week?
Well,
I
you'll
still
burn some calories, but you'll still have the same shit in there.
I still have the same shit in there. Going to the gym doesn't matter until we get this right.
Yeah.
Once you get this right, then you can go to the gym and the gym can do what it's supposed to do,
Right.
right? This is nutritional fitness. The gym is physical fitness. What's in this beaker is nutritional fitness. It's what we do. It's why I went back to school to fix me. I'm telling you, once I realized going back to school, my third week in school, I realized that everything that we're taught is complete and total bullshit fed to us by food marketers.
Hmm.
100%. And as soon as I learned that, it's I've been learning ever since because it's fascinating what's happening in here, right? So, nutritional fitness, what's in that beaker? I want NF will get you straight to us.
That's great. And the thing is, like I said, we could talk about this forever because, you know, some of you guys know that, my daughter's diabetic, and we go back and forth on this a lot about her health. But she's been diabetic for 20 years, and now she's on a pancreas transplant list, and we've been waiting, but COVID kind of screwed that all up because they're not giving people organs right now if they're diagnosed with COVID. What are they doing? They're trashing those organs. And that's terrible because you give someone an organ that has the antibodies to COVID, then they got the antibodies to COVID. They're not going to get it. I mean, I don't know the mentality of the doctors out there or the hospitals, but this is crap.
Yeah, we work on two things when it comes to our medical system. One is fear.
Hmm.
And a big part of that fear is doctors are absolutely terrified that they're going to get sued.
Yeah.
Because when they get sued, guess what? They lose their license, they lose their money, they lose their family. The wife doesn't have the nice car, so they lose the wife too. The doctor's got nothing by the time he gets sued. So they live in terror
Yeah.
of making any kind of little thing that might cause somebody a hang up. But the other thing that we live by in medicine, and doctors are kind of on the other end of the beaker from me. And what I mean by that is if you've got bad chemistry in here, the mentality of a doctor is what can I put into the beaker in terms of a pill, a potion, whatever? What can I put into the top to kind of swing that chemistry to the right place?
Yeah.
Whereas we're on the other end of the beaker. What are you putting into the beaker that's fucking it up in the first place? Because probably we should stop doing that.
Yeah.
And then you don't need the pill on the top,
Right.
right? If we fix it down here, you've got acid reflux, you can take a pill and it'll work for a little while, or you can stop putting the stuff in the beaker that's giving you acid reflux and get rid of the pill, right? So we have patients that are diabetic and they go into their doctor and they're put on insulin and they're told by their medical team, you're going to be taking this for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
You now have a lifelong condition. Why would a doctor say that? Well, because there's nothing that they can put on top of the beaker that's going to take diabetes away from you.
Right.
But you know what? There are things we can stop doing on the bottom of the beaker and things that we can change down here that are going to have a measurable effect on the path of your diabetes. You might even be able to reverse all symptoms, but in any case, you're going to improve those symptoms and improve your management of that disease. And we see that in heart disease, we see it in diabetes, we see it in thyroiditis, we see it in all kinds of conditions that doctors are telling people they're going to have to live with for life.
Mhm.
You don't have to live with that shit. You don't. You can
And
change what's going into the beaker.
this is what makes Belden an e-hero, because not only is he educating entrepreneurs all over, but he's educating everybody on proper health maintenance and kind of turning your life around. And honestly, you guys have to be healthy to run a business, because you know, to be super successful, you don't want to have health problems or any of this other stuff, or be out of work for a year. To me, that would just drive me nuts. So, you know, plan, educate yourself, and get with Belden, and let's get you healthy. So we'll see you guys on the next episode, and adios.